Man City are so back, aren't they? I know this is the Club World Cup, it's not the Premier League. I know Juventus aren't as good as they used to be, but Manchester City were incredible. The football they played were incredible. They smashed Juventus. The difference that Ait Nouri and Reijnders were making, you could see. Obviously, Rodri being back makes a difference. He looks much sharper today. The wingers, I thought Doku that first half, best half in him. Savinho showed his quality. It makes me feel sick because if you actually look at Manchester City's squad there, if you look at the players that are on the bench today, like Haaland coming on, and that Haaland cameo was special, it is crazy. It is sickening how good this City squad is. And there's talk of them potentially adding a right back, potentially upgrading on Edison. They might look at another centre back for depth because of the injuries of Stones and that. But other than conceding a couple opportunities on transition, I thought City were excellent today. If you're looking at this City side and thinking, what do they need next? You'd probably say right back on paper, but Nunes has been really good and was fantastic today. Yeah, this isn't a good summer as a Man United fan because Liverpool are just going crazy with Wirtz, Kirkes, Frimpong. They might get Isak. I don't know if they will. Gay, and then you've got Manchester City. You've signed Reijnders, Cherki, Ait Nouri, Naipan. Probably going to do other business, but they look back. They look fantastic. So let's break down what we learned from City 5, Juventus 2, because there's a lot to talk about. And obviously, I want to talk about Ait Nouri and Reijnders, the new signing, but I think Ait Nouri is going to unlock Doku, and I'm going to talk about that in more detail. It's so annoying. I kept saying Manchester United, Ait Nouri's there, £30 million. We need a wing back. We need proven. Ait Nouri going forward, the attacking dynamic, how he can allow Doku to come more centrally, but Doku did really well today. You could see that. You could see how Reijnders slots in, how good of a signing Reijnders is, and Cherki's got that technical ability we will see more of. The Premier League isn't ready for City next season. They are back. I'm like City. They've refreshed the coaching stuff. They've refreshed everything. They've put in some good signings. Rodri will be back. City will be back next season. Liverpool are going to be great. If I'm Arsenal, I'll be thinking you need to get a good winger, a good striker, because have Arsenal missed their opportunity? I don't know. But City, pretty much controlled the game. Had a lot more threat. They literally were all over Juventus. This felt like Manchester City versus Leicester City, not Manchester City versus Juventus in the Club World Cup. Manchester City, when they got the ball, was so deadly with it. Juventus was struggling to keep the ball. Manchester City were in control. Manchester City were a lot more direct. And I hate saying this, but if I'm taking away my Manchester United bias and just talking about it from a footballing perspective, they were good to watch. Manchester City last season were not good to watch at times, which I enjoyed. I'm not going to lie. But this season, this game, I watched Manchester City, and I was like, if I was a complete neutral, I don't know, let's say I was a fan of Seattle Sounders and had no Prem bias at all, I would watch that game going, wow, that's a good team to watch. Can't do that. I sit there going, oh, wish we signed him. Oh, wish we signed him. Oh, hope they get relegated. That's what I think. But being honest, yeah. Now, I want to talk about Reijnders. I want to talk about Ait Nouri, how they're going to change City. But I feel like you have to talk about Doku and Savinho because I thought the wingers were incredible today. And I think City, if Doku and Savinho show up next season and they're young players and it's normal for them to have inconsistencies like we saw last season, especially with City dropping off and then not being stability in midfield, it's harder for wingers. But I think they're both really talented players that are going to have good seasons. And I think if they do have good seasons next year, I think, City's output and City's season could be insane. I think Doku and Savinho having good seasons, having good output, it just changes City's attacking dynamic because you've got Cherki, you've got Foden, you've got these two guys, you've got Oscar Bob, you've got Marmoush, you've got Haaland, you've got all those attacking options. Now, Doku, in that first half, is the best I've seen him in a while. Doku, he's got it. He's just very inconsistent, but he got 1 goal, 6 successful dribbles, 8 ground duels won, constantly beating defenders, manipulating them, sending them the wrong way, really good at coming in. He looked really good coming more centrally. And Ait Nouri allows Doku to do that because Ait Nouri is a traditional. He likes to stay high, wide, overlapping, ball carrying, take on your man, attacking minded fullback. He can provide the overlaps. He can provide someone that Doku can link up with, but he provides Doku the opportunity to become more central. But I felt that Doku was more threatening. Also, I've had internet connectivity issues today, so I do apologise if the quality drops at any point in time. But Doku was unreal in that first half. Savinho, that goal was unbelievable. That was one of the best goals I've seen. Maybe the best goal of the Club World Cup, up in the top 3 that I've seen. Screamer, composure, good goal. Just, He was really good first half of the season, dropped off a bit, got a bit of stick. But again, you've got to remember young players. And I think with City, and I'm going to say this now, and this links to what I want to talk about in regards to Rodri and Reijnders. But because City's midfield wasn't the most stable last season, there was periods you got run through. I thought Gundogan towards the end of the season went in a good run in. But because you got run through in midfield and your midfield wasn't as good, they didn't have that stability. And I always say this now, the better your defensive midfield is, it helps your attackers. Because you could have a really good attack, but if your defensive midfield isn't great, you're not getting the ball to attack as much. You're not building up as much to attack. You're not having as much control. Rodri and Reijnders, Reijnders brings the legs that City needed off the ball, but they allow City to get that control. They were in so much control today. And when City are in control of games, it makes Doku and Savinho's job easier because they're going to get the ball in better scenarios, they're going to get better passes to them. And they were coming more centrally today because of the fullbacks. They were causing 3v3 overloads with Marmoush. And Juventus couldn't cope with it. It was really good to watch, and you can see maybe Linda's coming in as the assistant and how he's helping Pep. But City didn't just change their players; they've had a tactical refresh this summer, set piece coaches, everything, and you can see it. We've got to talk about the Haaland cameo because wow, that Haaland cameo was nasty, and I mean like nasty is in the sense of that was unbelievable from Haaland. We were seeing a really complete performance from Haaland. People just say Haaland can score goals and do nothing else. That's not true. He's not as complete as maybe an Isak in terms of other attributes, but as a goal scorer, Haaland's the best in the world. But he's very good at other things, and he doesn't get credit for it. He came off the bench today. He showed his greatest sides, touches, his movements. He was linking up well. The part he played was it in the Foden goal. Fantastic vision, awareness, playmaking, touch was there. With Rodri and Reijnders behind, bringing more stability, as I say. With Savinho and Doku as wide options if they improve their output and improve and they're coming more centrally. With Ait Nouri who likes to put in crosses. With Cherki that would like to find his runs and his creativity. This could be a huge season for Haaland. I think Haaland is going to explode this season. I really do. Going into Reijnders and Rodri, as I said, stability. Reijnders is slotted in perfectly. Cherki may take time to adapt. I think Cherki's looked good. I think you've seen elements of what Cherki can do. There might be inconsistencies there. He's young. Cherki could take time to adapt. But with Reijnders and Ait Nouri, you know that they're two signings that are almost going to settle in right away. You just know that. Reijnders, I know it's a different league, but he's in that prime age. He's literally the same profile as Gundogan, but with the legs that Gundogan's lost. And he played without Rodri in his first game, was excellent in a deeper role, which isn't even a special role. He's excellent. He controlled the game, he controlled the tempo. He played with Rodri today, which gives him the freedom to go further up because we know that he's very good in the final third. He's got good box output. And Reijnders just was there. Like, you wouldn't even know it was a new signing. Some new signings need a year to settle in, this and that. I just feel like Reijnders is ready. Reijnders and Ait Nouri, their first game of the Premier League season, they can start, and they can start every game, and they're not going to need a year to settle. He's good under pressure. He's good on the ball. He's good at progressing play. He's got the legs. He's good off the ball. And look, Rodri's not looked as sharp in recent games. He's come back from a big injury. That's totally normal. But Rodri looked sharper today, and I think him and Reijnders is going to form a deadly partnership. And games are won and lost in midfield. We talk about Mo Salah and his goals and assists, and his output that he got this season was insane. But McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai was, for me, almost the biggest reason why Liverpool won the league, because that midfield was so dominant. Games are won and lost in midfield in a weird extent because games are controlled in midfield, and if you control a game, you're more likely to create the better chances and not concede as many chances because the midfield is where you get control. Obviously, Salah's why Liverpool won the league. Obviously, Van Dijk, all of that's everyone's why Liverpool won the league. But City fell off last season because of the midfield, because their midfield got ran through, because of Rodri's injury, and I think the Gundogan's legs are gone, and Kovacic's legs are gone. There was the technicality was there, but the physicality had gone. Rodri being back, Reijnders coming in. I think Nico Gonzalez will have a good season. It advances City. They've got the perfect balance, Rodri and Reijnders. It's the perfect duo, but there's a bit of depth there. They're fresher legs. This stability in midfield is going to make a huge difference for Manchester City going forward, an absolute difference. Along with Ait Nouri, who's going to slot in because he's Prem proven, he's everything. I really wanted Manchester United to sign him. He was given the overlaps, quality crosses, sharp passing. That's what you're going to get. You didn't see it all today, but from Ait Nouri, that's what you will see. Overlaps, getting up, carrying the ball. He helps create width. He'll stretch defences, open up passing lanes, and let Doku or Cherki get in those zones, and they will operate well. This Juventus game, where was he? Out wide, operating in the channels, pulling, Juventus' defence towards him, opening up space in the middle, and Doku was thriving there. He will make Doku better. And I thought from City today, we saw this tactical shift. We saw Pep's setup, we saw ball progression that was better. We saw City using the final third better. We saw aggression on the width. We saw space open up. We saw creativity. We saw these 3v3 overloads. I was seeing a different tactical side of Pep that was more attacking, that was more aggressive. And you look at Doku was drifting into the channels. Reijnders was coming higher to provide, another option that you've got to mark or could make those late box runs that Gundogan does and scores those deadly goals. Ait Nouri hugging the touchline, that stretches the pitch, stretches the defenders, creates more space between the defenders. You can see a little bit of Pep Linder's influence showing with what he did at Liverpool and the directness. You can see these patterns, position rotations. City look better from set pieces. And, you look at this game, you look at the bench. Look how good City were. This is Juventus. This isn't Wydad. This is Juventus. And Haaland, Stones, Foden, Cherki, Ake, Bob, Vardio on the bench. That is elite depth. City's squad depth is sickening. It is. Last season they had fatigue, they had lack of legs in midfield, they had physicality issues, but they've got the depth. They might sign a right back. They might even sign a centre back. They might even sign a number 10. They're looking at goalkeepers. They've got this Naipan kid coming in, other young players. They've got Echeverri, he looked really good the other game. I didn't even mention him as wingers. I'm talking about Savinho and Bob and Doku, but Echeverri, City have built something. I don't think the Prem is ready for City next season. I honestly think, let's see what Arsenal do in the window, but City and Liverpool, it's horrible as a Man United fan because I just think it's going to be another City-Liverpool season. If I had to pick out weak points from City, because I don't think everything was perfect, they conceded 2 goals. Akanji has nervy moments in him. Ederson has a bozo moment in him. And Juventus' 2 goals maybe came too easily. I felt at times City was still vulnerable in transitions. And in the Premier League, you could be caught out on that, particularly against a side like Liverpool, potentially even Arsenal, because when they're given space, they're quite good in attack. I think a proper right back and a durable centre back is probably still needed. I thought Nunes was brilliant. I thought Nunes was excellent today. Fantastic. So they're one of the best players on the pitch. But arguably, maybe City want a natural right back. Maybe another centre back for depth because of the durability of players like Stones. But you look at Nunes, I thought he was fantastic today, solid player. And we're talking about City's weak point maybe being right back, and how good has Nunes been there? Nunes will have a moment in him, he'll have a mistake in him, but for the most part, he's solid. Phil Foden fell off a cliff last season. Some City fans wanted him sold. I know with the stability of Reijnders and Rodri behind him, Phil Foden's going to be class this season. I think any City fan that wants him sold this summer will regret saying that. I think Foden will be back next season. I think he's had some off-field issues. I think he will be back. I think Bob being back from injuries may be bigger than people think. I think Bob, Echeverri coming in for wing depth and what they could show. Bob, I think, is a very good young player that, even as a Manchester United fan, even as a rival, I was upset for Bob. For me as a rival, if a really young, promising player that hasn't played much football picks up an injury that's that bad at an early age, I don't care if he plays for Manchester City, I don't care if he plays for Liverpool, I don't wish that on players. And, poor Bob picked up an injury last season, and I think he's a talented player. So I'm happy that he will probably be back and get opportunities. And Rodri and Bob back, 3 quality signings in the door already, 2 probably ready-made to make an impact. I think Cherki is arguably the best of the 3 signings in terms of natural ability, but he may have inconsistencies and take time, but I think he will be good, Cherki. They've got new staff, new set piece coaches, new everything, new tactics. And yeah, it just feels like City are back. And yeah, scary times. Thank you for watching. Bye.